It's Monday, November the 25th and 5:30 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order for our regularly scheduled meeting of council. Everyone's had an opportunity to review agendas. With respect to the consent agenda, are there any items there? Councillor Gullickson?
I have no items to remove, but I would move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please go ahead and vote. And while you are voting, I would just mention that up for bylaw first reading, a couple of items in there. The 400.65 for a site-specific exception is to do with the Doors on Demand location in the West Jackson Industrial Park, and then another location for site-specific exceptions in the Wolf Creek Industrial Park at 4120 53rd Avenue. That's bylaw 400.66. Sometimes these things can get lost in the details for people that aren't used to seeing bylaws rather than locations and addresses, municipal addresses. So that's all those are for. That is unanimously in favor. Thanks, everyone. With respect to the overall agenda, any other items for consideration or at least for acceptance? Councillor Dallas.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Appreciate that. Don't see any other lights on, so please go ahead and vote. And that is unanimously in favor as well. And because there was no items removed from the consent agenda, we will move right into our presentations. We've got a good luck contingent here from St. Andrew's United Church here in Lacombe. And I will just remind you, if you could just introduce anyone that's speaking or going to be involved for the record, and I'll get you to use the microphone there when you push the button and the red light comes on like it is now. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, everyone, for allowing us to be on your agenda tonight. I'm Cecile Fossack, and this is Donnie Tafts with our St. Andrew's United Church Green Team. And we have a contingent here of the rest of the Green Team and the ministers of our church, Barbara Lawrence and Dave Holmes. And so we're representing the congregation, the historic downtown church, and next year in 2025, the United Church of Canada, which we are a part of, is marking 100 years since its formation, and we're 102 years in the city. In recognition and celebration of this milestone, and our call, which is part of our creed, says to live with respect in creation, St. Andrews would like to make a legacy gift to the city of Lacombe by planting 100 trees. And we believe that to plant a tree is to plant hope for the future. Trees enhance the beauty of our city, and you know that it's a part of our city's logo and part of our reputation. Trees clean the air of greenhouse gases and smoke, produce oxygen, collect moisture, and provide a cooling effect. And they mitigate the effects of the changing weather. And I noticed that that was in your recreation plan as well. Mental and spiritual health can be enhanced by being among trees and a natural environment. Adding more trees to our city would provide habitat for small wildlife, birds and insects, and contribute to the well-being and the quality of life for all our residents. A green space would be greener. We envision planting native species of trees, shrubs, grasses, and plants in a natural kind of ecosystem. As one of our members said, not your English park. Initial conversations with a Red Deerian landscape designer renowned for natural rooftop gardens has suggested that the success of such a project could become a model for other communities. We are also seeking the wisdom of an Indigenous knowledge keeper. And since May, we have been working with the City Parks Department, Rodney, and more recently with Planning and Development, Nancy, to identify possible sites where we could plant all of the trees over a 2-year period. We appreciate the cooperation and the advice given to us. After soil testing, the site we propose is the 1.7 acre municipal reserve on Woodland Drive, west of 58th Street. If all the trees cannot be planted there, the remainder might be planted in the Willow Ridge Municipal Reserve, which is just a little further on Woodland Drive and north of a small playground, but it kind of connects all the way through there on the back alley and a trail. The Woodland Drive Municipal Reserve is completely flat land, so the forest would be very accessible to an aging population. No hills to climb, rough places or anything. And with the city's help, we plan to engage with the neighbors and invite them to an open house in January to obtain their feedback. I'll let Donnie carry on.
Well, as you can imagine, a project of this type is going to cost in the neighborhood of $50,000. We're projecting, which includes costs for landscape design, for substantial trees of 8 to 12 feet in height, as well as ground preparation and planting, as well as some enhancement or hard structures such as a pathway, benches, interpretive signage, and possibly a gazebo, a teepee, or a labyrinth. These are just some ideas that we've been thinking about. There would be a saving to the city with the elimination of grass mowing on this site all summer. On November 3rd, just 3 weeks ago, we started a pledge drive at our church to encourage the congregation to get involved. And we hope to raise $20,000 with the remainder of the costs raised from grants, $30,000. To date, as of yesterday, we've raised $8,200 in pledges from our congregation. So we're almost halfway there. Community members are also welcome to participate, and donors may specify persons that they're honoring through the purchase of a tree, which will be recorded in a book of trees, which we will keep somewhere. We are going to make a grant application shortly to Trees Canada and their Tremendous Communities Grant, which is due very soon, December 9th. In the middle of December, we hope to apply to the United Church of Canada Centennial Grant Fund for another $5,000. And we also will apply to the city's Community Builder Partnership Fund, which your staff recommended to us, Guy and Sherry Mitchell and Rod. And we also could tap into the ECHO Lacombe Community Grant if needed in the following year. So it's a big project. We have big dreams. But we're very excited about gifting a new small forest, an investment for the residents and visitors of Lacombe to enjoy for centuries to come. So tonight we're asking for Council's endorsement of this project in principle. And in the short term, we'd like a written memorandum of agreement, memorandum of understanding, so that we can proceed with our planning. We look forward to greening together to realize the vision of a healthy and verdant city of Lacombe. So I welcome any comments or questions that you might have.
It's not often that we hear people use the word verdant, which is in our own paperwork. So thank you for that. This is an exciting project that we certainly look forward to. It's not every day that we have groups come here wanting to give the city stuff. It's quite often the other way around. So thank you for that. Does anybody have any questions or Comments? Councillor Dallas.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the presentation. I just, I think, I can't remember if we made a 2-year pledge or if it was just the 1 year for trees in our operating budget for, sorry, just got to look at it for 2025. There is $24,000 in there for tree planting. And so I think this, it aligns well. The one part is for $50,000, there, $10,000 in grants will be requested, 5,000 from the city and 5,000 from the ECHO. That's what I'm reading here?
No, we haven't got any figure for ECHO. It's 5,000 from the United Church Centennial Fund.
Okay. Sorry, it was just in the presentation, it says will apply to the community builder and the ECHO community. Oh, if needed. Thank you. In the following year. I apologize for not reading the complete
that's
sentence, but
Fair.
so I guess, yeah, it's yeah, nice to have partners with us, and I guess, you know, it does align with our plans. It's just, I always am curious for gifts you have to buy yourself. But like, I think it would be a nice addition to the city. So thank you.
Councillor Gullickson.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I think this is a very interesting project. I like it. As far as the location goes, was that the only location that you had looked at, or did you look at a number of different locations?
We looked at
Several others.
and
Okay.
they all
I'm-
slowly got eliminated
Mhm, mhm,
for one
okay.
reason or another.
All right. So if the city decided that this location was, for whatever reason, not suitable for the forest, you would still go ahead at another location in the community?
We keep looking.
Keep
yeah.
looking. Yeah, I just think that
Yeah.
it'd be nice to have options.
Yeah.
For that. I know there's been talk of that, you know, other things to be done with that land and so on. And I don't know what that process would be, but I like the idea of where, like that location, I like it,
Mhm.
but I just see that there could be some issues possibly with it.
We did look at a number of options. We've been thinking about this for many months. One of our top picks was the Elizabeth Lake Trailhead, right at the extension, at the entrance to Elizabeth Park. But we realized later on that's a road allowance,
Mhm.
and that was the downside. And plus, the soil is very poor there. It's very sandy. We learned from Wolf's Botanical that trees don't do very well there.
Mhm.
And we want these trees to grow and live. So we eliminated that. We thought about the fish pond. But there's also another group that's involved with looking after the fish pond. We looked at a place in Mackenzie Ranch, a beautiful flat square piece of land that I thought, wow, that looks like a great place. But apparently it's been earmarked for recreational purposes. Yeah, Hopeless Park, we've looked at a number of places. Rod Gilbo, who's been very helpful to us, suggested replacing some trees that throughout the park system. And we will consider that once we build the forest. You know, we'll keep on going. And we would like to help in the
Yeah.
future if once we get the forest planted.
But
then
we really felt like we wanted to have them all in one place
That's right.
rather than 5 here and 10 there and so forth.
Can I continue on?
Certainly.
Thank you. Yeah, I wouldn't like that to happen because I don't think that's, because we would be telling you what kind of trees to put in at that point, I would think, on that street specifically. I think that this is something, and it sounds like a project that would be identified with yourselves and your forest kind of. So I like that concept and not having us tell you what trees to plant and those sorts of things.
Although we do have the list of trees that are the ones that the city has approved, the list of trees.
Right, but not
and
on
other
like a
things that we can
specific street
consider.
or whatever.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you would be told
Yeah.
what tree to put in there and so on. So I know I like that a lot, and I do like the location.
We did soil testing too. That was another thing. Thank you to the city for paying for that. We tested soil in several sites, and the soil on the Woodland Drive site was
was the best.
Councillor Hibbs.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy, and thank you for your presentation. It's a very interesting idea. I do have a question for administration more specifically. Of course, this is MR land, so municipal reserve. I would imagine there are probably rules around what can occur on an MR. So I understand that you're asking for an MOU. From administration, what would be the process going forward then to see something like this happen? What are the required consultations that need to happen with the community? What are some of the regulations around the sort of altering of an MR space?
So the limitations around the MR use are that it has to be used for open space for municipal purposes. There wouldn't be any legislated requirement for consultation for modifying it. Although the church has proposed an open house to make sure the neighborhood is aware of what's going on and what those changes might be. But it would be similar to when you established the birthplace forest years ago. There's no actual change in land use, and so it's just a decision of council.
Thank you for that. And with that in mind, is the proposed current location in the same area as the birthplace forest, or have I got the wrong address here in mind?
No, it's not in the same location. The location for the birthplace forest is almost full, and so we will be looking for a new site for that in the coming years. Unfortunately, we can't just extend it to the west of the current location without a new council resolution to authorize us to do so, because there is a council resolution that was passed on the that specifically bars the extension of the birthplace forest to the west across the path of where it currently ends.
And was there a reasoning for that decision attached to it?
No, the minutes I reviewed didn't give the rationale for that. It was just a resolution that was passed.
Thank you. Well, regardless where all of your hard work is placed, it's certainly appreciated with the community, and I look forward to it, as I'm sure everyone in council does. Anyone else? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Just so you know, I expect that administration will be in contact regarding the process to supply an MOU, unless they require us to make a motion, which I'm sure we can do quickly, but thank you once again. CEO Gowdy.
So we did have a bit of discussion about this before the presentation. Normally, we would bring back an RFD that would ask for your official sort of endorsement of it. In this particular instance, because of some of the timelines for their grant application, we are hoping that you would endorse a memorandum of understanding being drafted, which doesn't fully commit you this evening, which would give them what they need, and then we would bring a request for the official decision at a future meeting.
I expect there will be someone that would be willing to make a motion this evening. Councillor Hibbs.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I would be willing to make that motion that council direct administration to bring back a draft memorandum of understanding for review and adoption. Is that suitable for what your purposes are?
Anyone else have any comments on that item? That one I expect was not included in the IT package, so we'll just give Matt a moment to input that into our machines. We'll look at this. He's on top of it so fast that I think that's maybe just the title of the presentation, is it? I was all excited thinking it was already done. Just so people in the gallery don't think there's anything going on, and I don't think it'll be any surprise how the vote's gonna go. However, unplanned motions do take some time to input into our system here to keep everything official. So we'll just allow a few moments for IT to do that for us, and we can continue on. He's pretty quick. It would have to be a short one.
First section. They ring me.
Certainly, that'd be fine.
The motion that council endorse the drafting of a memorandum of understanding to support the United Church's donation of trees and bring back a request for decision at a future meeting to consider approval of the project.
So just to be clear, CEO Gowdy, you said time was kind of the essence on this. Is it council's wish to extend this MOU to come back to a future meeting, or are we looking for direction to produce the memorandum and execute it as soon as possible? What's required here?
That we support the project in principle, but that we're working out the final details, such as whether all 100 can fit at the one site, whether we'll need to spread into the second site. And so we would just want to bring those final details back for your approval at a future meeting, but that we would be drafting a memorandum of understanding this week to support their grant application if this passes tonight.
Very good. The title here is no longer truncated, so I believe that it is ready for us. Any questions before we go to vote? Please go ahead and do so then. And I think as expected, that is unanimously in favor. Thank you all once again. So I've got, there's Manager McKinnon at the back of the room. I was going to say she's not here. She is hiding back there. Manager McKinnon, if you'd care to make your way up front, the next item up under request for decision. I understand you've got the financial report for Q3 for us, item 6.1. And whenever you have your notes and stuff prepared there, whenever you're ready to go, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor Creasy and Council. Tonight, I'm here to present the Q3 variance report for 2024, which covers January through September 30th, 2024. Overall, revenues are $772,000 higher than the budget, or 1.8% than higher than the budget for the third quarter. Goods and services revenue are over budget by $56,000. Security clearances are under budget by $264,000. Vesta water agreement recorded to the end of June is over budget by $95,000. And user fees for cemetery, utilities, and recreation facilities are over budget by $183,000. Interest and penalties are $324,000 higher than the year-to-date budget. Interest revenue is $144,000 higher than budget. Penalties on accounts have exceeded budget by $148,000, and the WCB rebate is $30,000 above the budget amount. Other revenue shows a positive variance of $353,000. A refund for an affordable housing grant of $124,000 will be offset by a future grant to another organization. Sale of equipment is 74,000 over budget, also to be offset by transfer to reserves. And an ATCO refund of a refund for Midway Lights is 53,000, as well as other outside contributions of sponsorship of 55,000 are all over budget. Permits, fines, and licenses have a year-to-date budget shortfall of 38,000. Police fines are 65,000 under budget, and municipal fines and permits are 11,000 or 23,000 respectively over budget. Overall expenses are 2 million or 5.4% under budget year-to-date. Debt and banking charges are over budget by 22,000 because of increased debit and credit card fees. Goods and services are 2.85% or 152,000 over budget. Expenditures that are over budget include accounting and legal, other professional services, which include solid waste route optimization, Trinity Park Playground retaining wall, executive recruitment, and payroll implementation costs. Offset by surpluses and subscription and publication fees of 78,000, ice and snow, 65,000, and telephone 50,000, partially offset these negative variances. Provincial school requisitions is our big line that's over budget, under budget by 1.4 million. And this is just a timing difference of the third quarter payment coming through in October when it was budgeted in September. Personnel costs are under budget by 389,000 because of position vacancies, timing of seasonal employees, and short-term leaves. At the end of the third quarter, 2024, the city is in a positive financial position. And because of mostly because of the large timing variances, we do project a surplus for the end of the year from revenue from LGFF for the Local Government Fiscal Framework Operating Grant, penalties, interest, and rebates that will contribute. I'm happy to answer any questions on the third quarter variance report.
Thank you for those numbers. there was a couple there that kind of jumped off the page at me. So with respect to Lacombe Police Service, there's $264,000 shortfall from security clearances, and the educational revenue, I'm joking, the fine revenue was 660 some. So $315,000 more, like, give or take. And that was as of at the end of October?
End of September.
End of September. So is there an indication that some of those revenues would accelerate for the remaining quarter of the year, or was there no indication of that?
My understanding is the security clearances variance should go down from the projection from the police chief. It's hard to know about the fine revenue. It's been under budget for a while, so it's hard to say whether it'll increase or decrease that variance by the end of the year.
Thank you. Councillor Gullickson.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Just in regards to the utilities, the $130,000 over budget on that. Now that money, does it go into reserve, or do we adjust rates next year to give that back to our customers?
The user, Councillor Gullickson, you're talking about the user fee surplus revenues? Yes. So that revenue, basically utilities will balance at the end of the year. If there is a surplus in utilities, it would get transferred to the utility rate reserve that we considered in future years. But usually sometimes it's a timing difference. We don't know until the end of the year if there will be less variances in the revenue and the expenditure side.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I think that council did receive at least one letter, perhaps a couple, from citizens who suggested that hard to imagine they felt that their utilities were too high and that the city was perhaps making too much profit. And the letter that I sent back, I hope, explained fully that our utilities with respect to water and wastewater and municipal solid waste do not operate with a profit. They pretty much operated on a break-even point. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Councillor Gullickson, were you done?
I'm done.
Okay. Councillor Dallas.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. There's a lot of large numbers on here, both for and against. And then, so just this one caught my eye with the debit and credit card fees are over budget by $23,000. And so that is just fees we pay when citizens pay their accounts with credit cards and debit.
That's correct. We have increased the number of counts for new online services, but also the increased usage of online services has resulted in increased fees as well as the fees going up.
Yeah.
Certainly.
I guess I'm curious, is there, I know one of those costs more than the other to use unless they've changed and they're fairly even now. But is there an option to add fees for using one type of payment versus the other to, it's not to discourage people from using them, but just to understand that there is a cost for us to do that as well.
There could be a fee added for the use of credit cards, for example. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
So on another utility related thing, as far as supplying paper copies of utility bills, I've had some people ask me why we don't offer them electronically, of course, of which we do.
Mhm.
However, I think that our advertising of that may perhaps has not been adequate if I have people asking me about that very thing. And maybe that brings us full circle to the question of adding on a fee for a paper printed and mailed out normally when there isn't a strike, mailed out bill because of the costs associated with it, to perhaps try and encourage or incentivize, however you want to put it, people to utilize the electronic means.
Mhm.
Not that I expect you to answer that to date, but it's just something that has come up in a few conversation of late that I think council's going to have to consider at some point in time, at least.
I would like to note that we have had a real big increase in online users. In fact, all of our staff are trained to help people sign up online. We're going to do a promotion to encourage that further during the postal strike. So it's been, in our benefit, it's been a good news story because we're getting more people online.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Dallas.
I'll make the motion that council acknowledges receipt of the 2024 Q3 financial report.
Thank you. No other lights on, so please go ahead and vote. That is unanimously in favor. Andrew McKinnon, thank you. Director Piché, item 6.2 for the shared services agreement between the city and Lacombe Police Services. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy, and good evening, Council. Before Council this evening is an agreement for services between the City of Lacombe and the Lacombe Police Service. This agreement is basically an inventory of services that each entity supplies the other. When administration worked on the Municipal Police Commission bylaw this past year, it was suggested that all of the services provided to LPS be identified. And I will make a correction there in the RFD. It does say 2023 is to when the bylaw passed, but it was actually 2024. We started the whole process in 2023. Administration recognized that LPS also provides services back to the city. So working with the chief of police and various managers within the city, a list of services was created. The general services that the city provides LPS are people services and HR management, payroll, data and technology services, geographical information services, records management, financial services, building maintenance, and fleet management. On the flip side, LPS provides the following to the city. They provide support and assistance when requested by law enforcement, communication monitoring for support for law enforcement as well, court liaison support, event planning assistance, traffic and road analysis, and emergency management support. There are some fees attached to these services, of course, and specifically where goods are paid that each entity will budget for their own, within their own budgets. However, there is an administration fee that accounts for the staff time so that there isn't an internal transfer of costs where staff would have to track their time when providing services to LPS. This agreement was presented to the Lacombe Police Commission last month and for review, and is now being offered to be presented to council for review. It is an internal document that is signed between the CAO and the Chief of Police, so there's no need for an approval or a motion for this, except for acknowledgement. And if there are any questions at this time, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you, Director Piché. Councillor Hoekstra.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. So just in fairness, I know Police Commission looked at the document and basically endorsed it to continue going forward, that we support this. But I did not ask this question at that time. The administration fee, is that already happening in our budget? It is. And is it listed as an admin fee, or is it just built into, how does it present itself in our police budget? I could pull up the budget, but I didn't.
It's listed as an administration fee of 3.95%.
Anything else, Councillor Hoekstra?
No, thank you.
Councillor Dallas.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I guess my question's regarding the fees as well. So it's the city charged the Lacombe Police Service the 3.95%. And then the Lacombe Police Service charges us fees for services provided as well?
Only for the CPO monitoring service, because that is something they also provide to other municipalities. So for consistency, we do that same thing for us.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I was just, going to question the gift you pay for yourself again, but that I appreciate that answer. So thank you.
I think there was an expectation that council acknowledge this, even though there was not a specific motion for acceptance. Is that correct, Director Piché? Be care to do so. Councillor Hibbs.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I'll go ahead and move that council acknowledges receipt of this Lacombe Police Services and City of Lacombe Service Level Agreement report.
Thank you. No other input? Please proceed to vote. And that was acknowledged unanimously. Thank you. We do have a few items to take care of in camera. However, we do have a new face in a seat here, so I would ask our Chief Administrator to make the proper announcement and introduction, please.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. I'm sorry, I meant to bring it up at the beginning of the meeting, but I forgot. Joining us this evening is Director of Operations, Doug Halderson. Doug joins us from the city of Red Deer, where he most recently held the position of Superintendent of Roads, looking after their snow clearing and road maintenance activities. So he's been here for a week, just learning all of our systems, and is really starting to work this week. The first week is more going through the safety programs and that kind of thing. So we're excited to have Doug aboard, and welcome.
Doug, having an opportunity to welcome you personally last week. I'll do so publicly again. Welcome aboard. It's great to have you here. Counselor Gluckson, did you have something as well? I thought you saw your hand up. Sorry, my mistake. Very good. Just go over a few upcoming meetings on the relatively near horizon. Monday, December 9th is a regular council meeting in chambers here at 5:30. And then we have a council committee of the whole meeting. Same place and time, 5:30 p.m. on Monday, December 16th. And then our we're going to back the year up here on the year, but it is the first one for 2025 for Monday, January the 13th, and that is a regular council meeting once again here at 5:30 p.m. So we can add those to your calendars. And then I believe the only 3 remaining items that we have are all in-camera items. Councillor Dallas.
Thank you. Motion to move in camera.
Thank you. It is 6:11 p.m. for the record. Please go ahead and vote. And that is unanimous. Whenever we hear from IT,